Everybody. Thanks for being at the final session and not leaving early, which is always the temptation at the last session of the day. I'm really excited about this session. If you work in schools, the title probably caught your attention, just burnout. How many have ever experienced burnout? Yeah, a lot of us, right? And it's interesting because education really has its roots in the words leisure, and it doesn't feel like that all the time, right? There's a lot of practical things to take care of, but we have to keep cultivating and trying to cultivate that life of leisure, and so I'm excited to hear our talk today. Before I introduce our speaker, there is a word from our sponsor for today's session, which is Teaching American History. At Teaching American History, our Masters of Arts program and our free seminars bring together history nerds and government geeks, I didn't write this, from all around the country. Leave the cares of the classroom behind and join us for refreshing, content-based PD. No pedagogy, no lesson plans, just passionate teachers discussing fascinating documents together. Corresponds nicely to the topic of our session today. And I will just say from a personal experience, I've done several of these, and they're really wonderful. If you love history, even if you're not teaching it, you just are a history buff, they're great sessions to be a part of. Well, let me also introduce our speaker. Meghan Muyanja, and she has been a pioneer and the driving force in development of John Adams Academy's online classical program. Mrs. Muyanja has also served in a variety of roles at the Academy throughout her 10 years of service, including as the assistant headmaster, teacher, grade level lead, and office support. She's really done it all. And also is serving currently as the Academy's Director of Elementary Curriculum and Instruction at the Director of Online Programs. She has extensive experience in John Adams Academy's American Classical Leadership Education Model and holds a master's degree in classical pedagogy. She is also an avid reader of the classics and has experienced firsthand transformation of the mind and heart that comes through the truth, goodness, and beauty embedded in the classics. She has spent her entire career assisting students and families, including her own 5 children, in embarking on the classical journey for themselves. Please welcome our speaker for this evening session, or this afternoon session. Thank you.
Okay, is that working for everybody? Okay. Welcome. It's truly a delight to be with you here today, and what a great day it's been. I know I've learned so much, but I really want to take a moment to commend you for being here today and to spending resources and time to fill your own cup. Life is busy and we have so many demands, but leisure, like Zach said, is vital for the soul. And as teachers and school leaders, we are so anxiously engaged in the soul craft of others that it can be tempting to neglect or postpone our own. At least that's been my story in the past. Like Zach said, I'm Meghan Muyanja, the Director of Online Programming for John Adams Academy. And we're a charter network in Northern California, which is also launching a national private online program this fall. And the topic that I picked today comes directly from my own experience as a classical educator for nearly 20 years. Yes, I'm not old. In the profound Aesop's fable of the tortoise and the hare, yes, you guessed it, I'm the hare. But I'm the hare that never rested and left the tortoise in the proverbial dust. My first 9 years as a classical educator, I did mainly part-time work in the private sector, having my first 2 children while earning a master's degree and starting a nonprofit. But the last 11 years, when I began working for John Adams Academy in the charter sector, I went from school secretary of one campus of 700 scholars to deputy superintendent, helping to oversee 3 campuses totaling over 5,000 scholars. Along the way, I also had 3 more children and began homeschooling. In taking the risk of sounding pretentious, I am simply and humbly trying to convey to you how important the topic is that we're discussing today. Each of us and our colleagues and the people that we lead are in need of what we're going to discuss today. So, Zach already did this for me, but I'm going to do it again. Raise your hand if you've ever experienced or supported someone as a school leader or a colleague, someone who's experienced burnout in education. Well, basically all of us. Raise your hand if you came today to hear this information for yourself. Raise your hand if you came to hear it for someone else. Okay, that helps me know my audience. Appreciate that. Our time today is going to be very interactive because I want it to be meaningful. So you're going to be talking to an elbow partner. Looks like y'all have an elbow partner, so that's good. And we're also going to be reflecting. So if you have something to write with or type on or something like that, you're going to need it at the ready because we're going to use that multiple times throughout our session today. And let's see. And you are all agents unto yourselves and cannot be acted upon by me or anyone else. So all I can do is offer you an invitation, one educator to another, which is that I invite you for the next 55 minutes of leisure to release yourself from your distractions of technology, emails, messages, and to-do lists, and to engage your whole soul in our brief discussion today. So, turn to your neighbor, and if you don't know your neighbor, please introduce yourself and answer this question: what is burnout? 30 seconds. Ten. Okay, let's wrap up our conversation. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. So burnout is a term used in modern day vernacular, and when you look at its definition, it's the reduction of fuel or substance to nothing through use. The failure caused by overheating. Physical or mental collapse caused by overwork or stress. Now, I do want to point out that there is short-term burnout and there is chronic burnout. Okay? As human beings, we all experience the natural consequences of fatigue and mental collapse of using up all of our fuel during a hard day or a hard week. But when we're discussing burnout today, we are discussing chronic burnout, which means a perpetual state of physical or mental collapse, of soul fatigue that transcends one stressful incident or a short-term situation. Chronic burnout negatively affects all aspects of our lives and our faculties of mind, body, and spirit for extended periods of time. So although it is a modern term, we are at a classical conference, and I postulate that burnout has been present since we began documenting our human experience. I mean, Achilles' little break from combat in the Iliad could perhaps be related to a similar phenomenon as burnout. Cries of despair and periods of hopelessness from the great men and women of the past and the holy prophets and spiritual guides from all religions who had lengthy fasting and praying experiences in deserts. This problem is not new. So current statistics of educators experiencing chronic burnout are alarming, but today I hope to facilitate an empowering and enlightening experience so you can do something about it. Today we're not going to sympathize and bemoan our lots with each other. We are not here to blame the system, society, school leaderships, our students, or our parents for our burnout, or our children. Although systematic changes could be helpful, those changes are not in our control in this moment. What is in our control is our mindset in the actions that we take. G.K. Chesterton stated, "The world will never starve for want of wonders, but only for want of wonder." I propose that Chesterton in this statement is referring to a state of burnout. Burnout occurs when there is a want of wonder, because wonder is the fuel or substance that feeds the desire and the motivation to engage our faculties, mind, body, and spirit in the mind-bending, heart-stretching endeavor we call soulcraft. The crafting, molding, shaping, and building of our soul, which is the true end of education, or educare. So, what is wonder? We've heard about it a lot today. Turn to your neighbor, talk about it. What is wonder? Do you guys want to move? You're both. There's one here. There's one here. Can you come? Well, there's a lot of turn and talk, so I don't want you to be bored the whole time. Seconds. Ten. And coming back together. Thank you. Now, I'll admit I'm not going to go into some great logical construct of what wonder is, but in my study of wonder, wonder is three things. It is an emotion which is excited by novelty or the presentation to the sight or mind of something new, unusual, strange, great, extraordinary, or not well understood. Something that arrests the attention by its novelty, grandeur, or inexplicableness. Wonder excites surprise. It is a feeling, my favorite, of enchantment, which is an overpowering influence of delight. Wonder is also an experience with the extraordinary, an encounter with the beautiful, astonishing, and sublime. Wonder is also a state of astonishment before the natural and the intelligible. So here's where you're going to write. Get out your writing utensil and reflect on this question. How does the emotion of wonder and the experience and state of wonder act as a fuel in the crafting of your soul? Wrestle with that idea for a minute on your paper. Wrestle away. Or your phone or your Word document or whatever you want to write on. Yes, I forgot to put this one on the slide. I just missed it. How does the emotion of wonder, the experience and state of wonder act as the fuel in the crafting of your soul? So how does wonder fuel that soul craft that we've been talking about for you? finish your sentence. Now we're going to take a moment to explore what great minds of the past have said about this matter. Starting with Aristotle, he said, "For it is owing to their wonder that men both now begin and first began to philosophize. They wondered originally at the obvious difficulties, then advanced little by little and stated difficulties about the greater matters. They were pursuing science in order to know and not for any utilitarian end. It is through wonder," he continues, "that men now begin and originally began to philosophize." And Plato tells us, through the mouth of Socrates, wonder is the feeling of a philosopher, and philosophy begins in wonder. How vital is philosophy in soulcraft? Socrates is also credited for saying wisdom begins in wonder. What role does wisdom play in soulcraft? I guess it depends on what kind of soul you're aiming for. Sir Francis Bacon said, "Wonder is the seed of knowledge." And along that same vein, Thomas Aquinas stated, "Wonder is the desire of knowledge." Can you engage in soulcraft without knowledge? Then said George MacDonald, "To cease to wonder is to fall plumb down from the childlike to the commonplace, the most undivine of all moods of intellect. Our nature can never be at home among things that are not wonderful to us." So wonder, which is excited emotion when we see with our eyes and our mind something extraordinary, when we encounter something beautiful and sublime, and when we are in a state of astonishment, wonder ignites philosophy, the love of wisdom. Wonder is where wisdom begins and is the catalyst for our desire for knowledge. It is in wondrous experiences that we are humbled and when we feel gratitude, and where we feel gratitude. Humility and gratitude are necessary in the endeavor of soulcraft. G.K. Chesterton goes further even to say that gratitude is not only necessary for soulcraft, but it is integral to happiness. He said, "I would maintain that thanks are the highest form of thought, and that gratitude is happiness doubled by wonder." He continues, "The chief idea of my life is the idea of taking things with gratitude and not taking things for granted." So thus far we've established what burnout is and that it is caused from a want of wonder. And we've established why wonder is integral to soulcraft and happiness, because it's the catalyst for philosophy, wisdom, knowledge, gratitude, and humility. So now that we've established our philosophical premise, and I can now check that I've spoken at a classical conference, check, we are now going to move to the realm of the practical. Where is wonder found, and how do we create a wondrous practice? In studying C.S. Lewis, G.K. Chesterton, and George MacDonald, who I think are our modern wondrous experts, they state that wonder is found in our senses, in our mind and our heart, when we experience beauty and truth, predominantly through myth or story and observation of the natural world, science. Wonder is found in the moments when we, in our human frailty, experience, however briefly, the divine. That's from C.S. Lewis. So on your piece of paper, I want you to write on the top of it, wondrous list. And I want you to make a list of people, places, activities, or things where you experience wonder. Right away. Finish up your last line there. Okay, turn to your neighbor and have each person share 2 things off your wondrous list. Go ahead. 2 things. Thirty seconds. Ten. Okay, coming back together. Thank you. Maybe you found some similarities in your wondrous list. Be fun. Rumi said, "We seek outside the wonders we carry inside us." I just want to point out that not all wondrous experiences need to be actions. Wonder could be found in inaction. Just sitting quietly with ourselves, because after all, in my belief, we are God's greatest creation, so wonder does reside within us as well as outside us. So here's where the work begins. You thought you would just come, listen to your last afternoon session. Sorry. You can't develop a wondering practice without a little work. So I want you to think back over the past 2 weeks about how you felt physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. What percentage of the past 2 weeks did you feel energized, hopeful, happy, centered, positive, impactful, peaceful? Did you have loving inner dialogue about yourself and others? How much of your week percentage was that? And then what percentage of your week did you feel frazzled, on edge, short-tempered, had negative thinking toward yourself or others, or were fatigued mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually? Think about it. Write it down. Be honest. Now, I just want to say that this reflection is not to beat ourselves up, but it's just to help us know what our state of reality is so that we can move forward from there. Okay? So now I want you to look back on your wondrous list and think about how much time have you spent in those same 2 weeks on doing those things you listed. Okay, now I want you to turn to your neighbor and talk about this question. Do you think your percentage of positive or negative states over the past 2 weeks are related to the amount of time you've spent or didn't spend in your wondrous activities? Talk about it. What do you think? Does it have an impact, an effect? Thirty seconds. Ten. Okay, coming back together. Thank you. I just want to make a note here about seasons. There are different times and seasons, as we know. And depending on the time and season that you are in, that may really impact what your wondrous list looks like, how many activities you need to do on your wondrous list to get you to a certain state spiritually, mentally, physically. And so that's a real thing. And I think a lot of times we are in denial about the season that we are in, or we're just not honoring the season that we're in. And that can really affect our ability to implement, because I was just talking to, a friend about this very thing. And she was like, well, I had this thing, I committed to, I had a commitment buddy, I committed these three things I was going to do. She says, and that was enough. She's like, and now it's not enough. And now I have to up it, because it's a different season right now. And I need more than 3. So it's important for us to remember that context as we talk about what we're gonna be doing next. Okay. So I know this may sound a little bit too utilitarian, but it works. So we're gonna do it anyway. So for the rest of our time together, we're going to create a wondrous practice. We live in a wonderless world. And as Chesterton called it, a commonplace world. Wondrous experiences are not the natural prevailing experiences of our day. Therefore, experiencing wonder in order to prevent or cure burnout will need to be a regular, intentional practice that we implement and follow. And if we are wanting to support ourselves in overcoming burnout or helping others, creating a wondrous practice for yourself as an individual or collectively with your staff or with your students or your family, whoever it may be, is, I have found, the best place to begin. So this plan has 6 steps. We're going to identify it, create it, seek it, celebrate it, plan it, and share it. And we're going to go through each of those steps. So, first, identify it. We've already identified the wondrous things in our life. Now you're going to identify the wonderless things in your life. So, what are the people, places, activities, or things that are wonderless in your life? For me, these things were negative inner dialogue, too much technology in all of its forms, even the productive and good things I was using it for, complaining, gossip, defensiveness, arguing with my teenager. You get the idea. Wonderless things. Make your list. Your wonderless list. Finish up that thought. So now that we've identified the wondrous and the wonderless in our lives, we need to create it. We need to minimize the wonderless, and we need to increase the wondrous. So we're going to write down ways that we can minimize the wonderless in our lives. Now, the first thing that I did was I put on technology limits. In fact, I went on a 3-month technology detox. And my technology use was considered edifying. It was considered good. I was listening to podcasts and audiobooks on parenting and teaching and productivity and la 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 la. Okay? And so I did a 3-month digital detox. All the things that were good can still be noise, as I heard today. I also stopped engaging regularly with a few people in my life. Sadly, not my teenager, but no, I love him. And I stopped eating unhealthy food. So, what are a few ways that you can decrease the wonderlessness in your life? And how can you increase the wondrous? Oops, typo. Life, not less. I'm notorious for that. One thing that really struck out to me is having silence when I was driving in the car. Because I was driving in the car was like, ooh, I could get all this stuff done for myself while I'm driving in the car. And then 3-month detox fast, I'm like, wow, I have a 45-minute drive. What am I going to do? Look out the window while I drive. That's what I'm going to do. So, how can you decrease the wonderless and increase the wondrous? Now, did any of you feel that as you're writing, it was easier to do one than the other? Which one was easier? Was it easier to do the decreased wonderlessness, or was it easier to increase wonder? Which one's increased wonder was easier to list out? What about the opposite, decreased wonderlessness? Cool. For me, it was actually increasing wonder, because you put the word increase in my life, and I'm like, I can't increase. I'm at increased capacity, to the top. But what I started to do to increase my wondrousness, or the wonders in my life, is I started with a solid morning and evening self-care routine. That included movement in nature, meditation, and reading and writing for myself, not for work, not for my students, not for my staff. For me. And I literally started off with 1 minute. 1 minute of meditation, 1 minute of reading, 1 minute of writing, because I couldn't even fathom more than that. Okay, step 3 is seek it. So unless we've cultivated, this is what C.S. Lewis was talking about. Did you know he took a walk every day? He took a walk every day for this very purpose. Unless we've cultivated a present awareness of it, wonder doesn't just fall into our laps. When our brain is over here thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm at this conference, but then I had this thing I have to go back to, and this IEP meeting, and blah, blah, right? When we're in the future, we're not able to experience the wonder that is here. When we're in the past, thinking about, I think I forgot to put that in my subplan, right? Then we're also not able to experience the wonder. So we need to actively seek at being present in the moment, connected to our senses, being aware of what we're seeing, hearing, feeling, touching, and tasting, right? Present awareness enables us to notice the cloud formation in the sky, or when one of our scholars has that aha moment and their face lights up with understanding. Being present allows us to notice the wonders occurring unceasingly around us. So, how can you seek wonder? By cultivating present awareness. How can you help yourself and let me speak for myself. My unruly mind, which is totally unruly, how can you help engage your unruly mind in developing this present awareness? For me, it was engaging in a daily meditation practice, which literally felt like Chinese torture. Literally. I'm like, you want me to sit here for how long? I couldn't even sit. I'm like, I will lay on my back for 2 minutes and breathe deeply. That's all you're going to get. But eventually, and I will tell you, my ability to experience the wonder and the little things that I'm noticing now after practicing meditation for over a year has greatly increased. I don't even have to go out and do anything more. I'm just able to see more and experience more because I am here in this moment with you instead of somewhere else in my head. So write down some ideas. What do you think would work for you? Finish up your thought. Okay, step 4 is celebrate it. What we seek and what we celebrate is what we will find. If we seek wonder and celebrate our wondrous experiences, our noticing of them will increase exponentially. These are some ways that I have celebrated my wonders. I've created a wondrous journal, and I jot down the wonders I experienced throughout the day. I do this as part of my gratitude practice at night before I say my evening prayers. I've also created a group of friends on Marco Polo, and whenever we have a wonder, we pop in and we share it with each other. We also do this at the family dinner table. Hello, welcome to family dinner. Everyone go around and talk about what wondrous experience did you have today? Mom, not again. You're always trying your guinea pig plans, experiments on us. And more formally, in a work environment, you could create a reading group or a writing group, right, where you read together, not necessarily all of Dante in 2 weeks, because who has time for that unless we're teaching it, right, but a poem or a paragraph or a page, right, or say, well, each going to write a paragraph and bring it. Can't write a whole essay, can't write my whole thing I'm thinking of, but a paragraph, and let's spend 15 minutes and have this experience peer-to-peer. So how can you celebrate your wondrous experiences regularly? It doesn't have to be every day, but regularly, where you're celebrating, oh, wow, I had that wondrous experience. Okay, step 5, most important one, plan it. If you don't plan it, it will not happen. So think of your week, think of each day of the week, and I want you to find a 10-minute pocket of time where you can engage in a wondrous practice. And if you're like, well, I already do this, I already do that, well, you're here, so perhaps what you're doing isn't enough. So 10 minutes. Where is a 10-minute block? Is it right when you get up in the morning? Is it right when you get to school? Is it right before you go home? Is it at lunch? Is it before you go to bed? 10 minutes. Where you can engage on something on your wonder list. Every day. Doesn't have to be the same thing every day, but that pocket of time's there. I will say, if you have ever studied the science behind habit formation, if you want to start a new habit, you need to place it next to an activity you already do. Right? So I'm going to do it this time of day. When does that happen? I load the dishwasher, I'm going to walk to go brush my teeth, and I'm going to, or I get into the car to drive to work, and I'm going to turn on that favorite song, man, and blare it up and sing my lungs out till the end, right? Comparing it to something you already do automatically will help you so you don't have to always remember, oh, did I do that? It'll help it become automatic if you stick it somewhere where you already kind of have a pattern. Okay, does everyone have their 10 minutes? Raise your hand if you do not have your 10 minutes yet. Do you need more time? Okay. All right. Share it. I just wanted to share an experience with you. I love the sky. And I started in my wondrous practice to pay more attention and practice on focusing, being in the present moment by looking up at the sky. And, you know, I have 5 kids, so I'm rarely alone. And so usually I would be saying out loud, you know, oh my gosh, look at that. You know, it's so blue. Or, you know, oh, there's this sunset, or this cloud is doing this. And I would start saying it out loud. And now, literally, when my children are outside, almost every single one of them at one time or another will make a comment about the sky. And I didn't tell them, we're going to look at the sky, and we need to look at the sky, right? It was just me experiencing a wondrous experience and then sharing it with them. And now they are naturally engaging. And so when we share our wondrous experiences with our colleagues and our students and our family, then that rubs off on them without us being preachy or having a lesson plan about it or any of those things, right? And especially if we have people who are close to us or students who are really struggling to engage or struggling to be positive or struggling with hardship, us being able to come alongside and try to share our experience of what's happening can really help them kind of break that mindset and see what might be possible. Mm-hmm. All right, so on the topic of sharing it, I want you to turn to your neighbor and I want you to share your plan. What's your plan? What's your time of day? What are you going to do? What's on your wondrous list? When are you going to do it? Go ahead and share. Share your plan. $30 seconds. Ten. Okay, coming back together. Thank you. My closing thoughts are to keep it simple. Experiencing wonder is not a complex thing. Side note, if you have anything on your wondrous list because you think that that's what you should have on your wondrous list, and you aren't feeling rejuvenated and awe-inspired by it, then take it off your list. Because that's not a wondrous thing for you. At least right now at this moment. Maybe it will be in another season, but right now it's not. And so if you have a list of should-be wondrous things, that's not going to work. Okay, that's not going to work. The other thing is this, what really helps, what I found in my experience really helps burnout is to replace true, wondrous, soul-enriching experiences that were simple and a few minutes a day went way farther than the junk self-care I was doing for hours, typically in the evening time instead of going to bed. Right? So, also, wonder isn't possible without risk. So, increasing your wondrous experiences may at times feel uncomfortable, or decreasing your wonderless experiences might feel uncomfortable. And that's okay because wonder involves risk. I experienced 18 months of chronic burnout. And as I implemented these practices, I expected to feel better within a week or at least a month. And that did not happen. It took consistency and practice and patience. Changing your situation, your job, your grade level, your career, where you live, will not cure your burnout because burnout is not created by our circumstances, but instead by the patterns and the mindset we've developed inside of ourselves. And guess what? That goes with us wherever we go, right? The amazing thing is that patterns and mindsets are within our power to change. Einstein said there are two ways to live. You can live as if nothing is a miracle. You can live as if everything is a miracle. The most beautiful thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. He to whom this emotion is a stranger, who can no longer pause to wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead, and his eyes are closed. Wonder is all around us, and all we need to do is open our eyes and grasp it. Thank you.